How's it going, guys? This is my 1984 Porsche 944 that I've turned into my track/weekend ripper car, and I've had a ton of people ask me about my vacuum line delete, what I deleted, how the car runs, how the car starts, and also a lot of questions about my small battery back there. So what I ended up doing was pulling a lot of my engine apart, and when I put it back together, I wanted to get rid of the mash of vacuum lines and get rid of anything I didn't need to run this as a track car. And to my surprise, there was not a whole lot of good information online. There were some posts on forums that people kind of showed a little bit of diagrams, but nothing truly showed you exactly what to do. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys exactly what I did, what I deleted, which is like almost everything in the vacuum lines. And then we're going to start the car up. It is a slightly cold day here in Tampa, Florida, about 60 degrees, and the car has not been started for a couple of days. So you kind of get a real life experience of a cold start and how the car runs. On top of that, I went ahead and put a very inexpensive but very lightweight battery. This is a Die-Hard U1-3, and I think it's about a 375 cold cranking amps, but it is doing the job, guys. I've started this car over 100 times. I've let it sit and then started it with no issues at all. I did just recently replace the alternator, so I know I'm getting good charge. And like I said, the car starts up pretty much every time and doesn't have any issues. So let's jump into the vacuum lines now. So all I have left on my vacuum lines is this teed off to the fuel pressure regulator and fuel dampener. So these ones have to be on here in order for the car to properly start. So this will come down, it Y's off or tees off, and then comes down around, and I've got it plugged right here into my throttle body. So that is pretty much all I have as far as vacuum lines that go up underneath the manifold here. So ripped everything out, got rid of everything else that was under there, and people told me your car's not going to start, you're going to have so many issues. Now, I am in Florida. The weather pretty much never drops below 40, and when it does, I don't drive this car, but I haven't had no issues starting it in the 50s. Last week it was probably 53 and the car started right up. So as long as you're not in extreme colds, this will function properly. So that is it. I've gotten it come up here and put it right into this port right here on our throttle body. I went ahead and capped off this port on my throttle body because we didn't use that anymore. And I also went ahead and capped off the end here on the intake boot here. And I want to say there's at least one more port on this intake boot. Oh yeah, on the bottom here. I went ahead and capped off that piece on the intake boot. And I just used your vacuum line cap offs. I actually was able to stick one in here. It was a larger one, and jam it down in there, and it worked completely fine. Outside that, you do need to keep your brake booster vacuum line, or your brakes are not going to function properly. So that was one that I wanted to absolutely keep on there. But I did delete all of the canister fuel type stuff. And what you want to do, because you will get fuel smell in the car if you delete any of your fuel emission type stuff, that's all down in here. So what you want to do is, most likely, I didn't do this, so I do get a slight smell of fuel in my car. I just went ahead and used a little line and have it venting off into the air. But you can run that line that's already on there going to the canister, and you can put a like cap it off with a little bit of a filter if you want. Some people do that, but you will get a fuel smell if you just cut it off at the fuel tank. So just be aware of that. One thing I forgot to mention is your oil separator right here has a breather port that connects back into your vacuum lines. Now, by deleting that, you need to create some sort of way for that oil to come out and breathe off. So what I did, and this is not my idea, this is something I stole, is created a hose line over to an oil catch can. Now, there's a company out there, and I think it's either Paragon or one of those performance companies, that sells a kit that's quite expensive, and this oil catch can only cost me about 20 to 30 bucks, and I just got a hose from the auto parts store, ran it over to it, and it works just like theirs. So that is one way to delete your oil separator breather. So that is what I did. So with the brake booster, what I ended up doing was just taking my brake booster line. I used a new piece of vacuum line, or just a new piece of hose line, down through here and back up to where the brake booster connects to the manifold under here. So that is it. I've got those two coming down into the one here. I've got my brake booster here, and then we went ahead and capped off everything along here. There is one major thing that you need to cap off as well once you have this manifold off, because you're going to want to take this manifold off to get all those vacuum lines off. It's a good time to reseal everything, clean everything down like I did. There is underneath here a vacuum port that's going to be taken off as well. I don't know if I can feel it, but you're going to have to cap that off. So there's a piece underneath here, and I completely missed that when I deleted everything, got the car put back together, and I could not get this thing to run right. It would start, stall. I'd finally get it started by messing around with the throttle and all that stuff, and I thought I had a completely different issue. Come to find out, I just had a very, very big vacuum leak. So make sure everything is capped off if you have any starting problems after deleting this. So that is it, guys. It is coming from our fuels here, our fuel dampener and our fuel pressure regulator down and around into here. So that's pretty much all I've got for vacuum lines for the engine, and then my brake booster vacuum line. And like I said, the battery over here, I need to clean up these wires because I actually was able to delete this ground wire. It wasn't necessary once I had everything else deleted internally and the minimal electronics that I'm running. And so all I've got is a ground and my positives going to the battery there. I got it strapped down, as you guys can see, and that is it. So let's now jump in the car. I'll go ahead and start it up for you guys cold, and you can see, just so you know, the engine is completely cold right now, and it's about 60 degrees or so here in Tampa, Florida. So let me go ahead and jump in the car, start her up, and show you guys how it idles, because the one thing you need to do is once it's started, you need to let it get up to be warm, because if you try to drive it before the engine's warm, you're going to stall out, and it's going to be a little more difficult to get started. So that is the one thing I did notice. So let's jump in now and get it started. Okay, when we jump in here, you're going to see I've got two temperature gauges hooked up. This one is going to the block, and then I've got a new one down here that is going to our actual coolant. So this one won't get warmed up till our thermostat opens up. So typically I'll let it warm up till I start seeing that gauge move, and we're good to go and drive this car, and it runs perfect after that. So I'm going to go ahead now. We'll do a cold start. Not going to give it any throttle or anything like that. Going to start it. You can see there it started, stalled out the first time, but we got it started. It's going to run a little rough because we don't have any of the assistance from the vacuum, and you can see now I'm just going to let it warm up like this. So you can see once again cold to the touch, and we've got our temperature gauges, and I'm going to come back when these gauges start to go up a little bit, and we'll start revving it. Now, one other thing I was able to do the other day when it was real cold is I held the throttle down a little bit to assist it, get it up to be a little bit warm. So I kind of ran it right around probably 1200, 1300 RPM. You can see there it's running a little low on the RPMs till it gets warmed up. All right, so we'll come back once this is warmed up a little bit, and I'll rev it up for you guys so you can see. But you can see it's staying started. We're not having any issues with getting it started or having it stay started, and it'll stay like this till it warms up. Well, guys, it's been about 5 minutes, maybe a little bit less. We're gonna jump in and check the temperature and back the car out, but doesn't this exhaust sound good? I love this HKS exhaust on this car. If you guys want more information about this, I'm going to do an updated video, but I'll link the video when I installed this originally. Since then, I went ahead and welded all the pipe in there, so it does sound a lot better. But let's go ahead and jump into the car now. Take a look at our temperatures. Yeah, we're about 161 block. Haven't quite started going up on our water temperature yet, but we'll go ahead and give it some revs. You can see there it's not stalling out. So now I know I can go ahead and move this car without it stalling out. Like I said, you can let it go up to full temp, but I found that right around like 130, 140 block temperature, I'm able to move the car without it stalling out. And you can see it is running really, really nice right now. I redid so much stuff on this engine, and since then it is just running beautifully. I resealed off all my injectors, obviously new spark plugs. The wires were good on this, but I went ahead and checked them all, made sure they were all good, and then just overall sealed off a lot of things. Let's go ahead and shut our hood, back it up so you guys can see it's not going to stall out. And as you guys saw, that battery has no issue starting this car even multiple times at cold start. So, all right, we'll back her out, and I'm going to take her for a ride. But that's going to be about what does it for this video. I wanted to keep it short and kind of to the point of what I did on these vacuum lines. I'm gonna go ahead and shut her down, start it back up for you guys so you can see. And you can see there, pretty much started right back up. I gave it a little bit of fuel once it started to start. Outside that, it should stay started, no problems, and restart with no issues as well. Like I said, if you guys have any questions at all about what I did or what you can do, I'd be happy to assist with what I can. Reach out to me on Instagram. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. It's just Pete's Carport at Instagram. You just find me on there and follow me and send me a message. I'll try to get back to you. You guys have an awesome day, a blessed week, and I'll catch you on the next video.